Memphis, Tennessee is the most racially gerrymandered map passed, and this photo says everything. It shows State Rep Justin Pearson being blocked from a meeting about redrawing the map for the district he represents. And now the 99% white GOP chambers decided to divide Memphis into 3 majority white districts, completely eliminating a black majority anywhere in a state with one of the largest black populations in the US and a long history of racial violence. But this isn't just happening in Tennessee. After the Supreme Court gutted the 1965 Voting Rights Act, the law passed in response to southern states deliberately silencing black voters. Those same states are moving to dilute black voices again. It's no coincidence they're the same ones that fought for the preservation of slavery. SCOTUS claims it's eliminating race-based districting, but that ignores the horrifying history of oppression against black people in America simply based on race. Experts say the ruling could trigger the biggest loss of black US House seats since Reconstruction ended in 1877. America never punished the Confederacy. That's why it's still alive and well.
Out of my mind that the map's gonna pass. If y'all can give us less than 0 seats, you would do it. Y'all do this under the orders of somebody that said the Civil Rights Act was harmful to white people, that it caused reverse racism. RFK said that black children are overfilled on antidepressants and that they need to be reparented on different forms, all of them. Pete Hegseth constantly brings Doug Wilson to the Pentagon to give a prayer service. Doug Wilson is the same pastor that said that slave owners were on strong spiritual ground. I don't have no belief in no morality on anybody that followed Donald Trump. If you wasn't with this map, you wouldn't be underneath this president. You wouldn't be in your party. You would stand up, you would stand against it, you would speak out about it. So as far as I'm concerned, if you here as one of these Trump Republicans, you already showed us who you are. You showed us what you want to do. And I believe the country as a whole is rebuking your party. Y'all are in a death spiral. That's why y'all have to redistrict. That's why y'all have to cheat. That's why Trump got to go to Texas and say he entitled to 5 more seats. It's because y'all know what y'all doing is abhorrent. We letting our people die in Iran based on false pretense that Tulsi Gabbard and Joe Kent said ain't real. Y'all okay with all that. So I'm positive y'all gonna be okay with the maps. But the beautiful thing is, the children that y'all have made and the people that's younger than y'all don't support none of this racism that y'all want. The MAGA party is the last breath of the Confederacy. And I'll be happy to see millennials and Gen Z bury y'all. There will be no more of your party. The midterms gonna come, y'all gonna get wiped out. Trump gonna get dragged out of the White House, and I'm gonna love every second of it. Because y'all loved every second of the suffering that he caused to everybody in this country. And worldwide, we starve in Cuba. We bomb Nigeria. We holding Zimbabwe and Zambia hostage for their minerals. We don't wanna give them aid support. The pro-lifers that say all life is special, y'all letting kids die of AIDS. What part of your Bible say that? Point out the scripture. I think everybody would love to see it. And we would love to see y'all in the midterms.
Reinforces the values of systemic racism, like, for example, with the Odyssey, talking about how Helen of Troy is supposed to be beautiful and she's being played by a black woman. Why would they say that? Is it because they're trying to say the standards of beauty for black women are so much lower than that of white women, and therefore all black women start out at a disadvantage of beauty, and that they need to make themselves more beautiful from a European standpoint? Could that be what they're doing subliminally by saying something like that? And then pipelining people to alt-right accounts like Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro and all those. All of these places benefit from them using subtle language that reinforces systemic racism and bigotry. And that's just one example. To you that there's a pipeline. Jeremy Griggs realized that the funds were drying up on fandom outrage. So what did he start doing? He started talking about MAGA 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on his D-Day Cobra channel, which is literally the next step in the pipeline that they have been pushing people towards. And you know why it worked for him? Because the people in his audience were already preconditioned to accept alt-right and right-wing media through these channels, and it was a very easy transition for him to do. It was a very easy transition because those people already held those viewpoints.
That's true. That's true, y'all. Hey, welcome. Welcome to this channel and this show on this day. And I'm this guy. And you're that person that you are. And good for you. Good for you. Hello. It's Friday. You know how we do on Fridays. Well, I wanted to, today's gonna be a little bit different, but also kind of like a bit more familiar than things maybe have been for quite some time. That's a weird thing to say. I'm gonna be reacting to some videos, which I haven't really done much lately at all. Not unless it's with the showcast, but really still like it's pretty sparse there. I got like 3 videos I want to look at today. That's crazy. And the thing is that I'm pretty sure none of them are chuds, but they're all bad takes. By the way, let me know if you can hear me in chat. Somebody let me know something. Am I effing audible? Looks like I should be. Looks like I should be. Who we got? I know we got somebody I know. Somebody's willing to help me out here. Doing sound check. All right, there we go. Screwface. Hell yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Oh man, my beard is all unkempt and shit. Ugh. Gross. Cool. Well, I'll talk about the boys video before you get here then, since you don't, have any interest. I mean, honestly, the boys, the subject of the boys show itself is only a small part of what I think the issue is. There's like, you could apply what this guy says to almost anything, and basically it's just his way he's looking at media that I want to look at. It's fucking bonkers, man. And maybe he is a chud, but you guys can help me figure this out in real time. But like, I just happened upon this channel. Let me start from the beginning. The boys. I've covered it before in the past. One of my highest viewed videos happened to be one that broke containment when I talked about how it was like season 3, I think, where the boys, basically MAGA chuds started figuring out that they were making fun of them on that show. They've been doing that since the first season, but somehow it took the 3rd season for them to go, wait a second, wait a minute here. Are they making fun of us? And they started getting upset about it. And so I made a video kind of just talking about how, it's, they also poke fun at, chuds that actually have watched the show think, well, they're just poke fun at the left equally. And it's like, no, not really, because what they poke fun of in terms of the left is liberal, like, performative liberal, corporate shit, like Queen Maeve's, I don't know, she had some kind of like lesbian burgers or lesbian tacos or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing where it's more poking fun at the corporate aspect of this cynical part of it, right? Not saying that like, no, they're not making fun of gay people or lesbians. They're making fun of the corporate fucking the tacos that are branded after the lesbian member of the 7, right? That's what was making fun of. Whereas like it makes fun of right wingers because they believe stupid things. But try telling that to a chud. No, they coped as hard as they can by, oh no, they're making fun of both sides. That's what the left is. The left is all about just empty corporate slogans and products and stuff. Okay, sure. Yeah. Don't listen to what we actually say. Just make up your own fucking aspect, your own idea of what it is that we believe. Cool. Anyway, yeah, and then so there's that. That happened. Covered that before, and then continued watching the show. And overall, the quality of the show itself is really not in question. It's not the question, rather. We could talk about that for sure. If anybody else is watching it, let me know what you think. I don't know that I think it's as good as it could be this final season. I also don't think it's terrible. Like it seems like, maybe this is just the internet effect, and you go online and you go and see Reddit posts of people fucking crashing out about how bad the season is, and how it's ruining the whole show. I mean, maybe that's not indicative of how many people actually think that. I don't know. But, maybe it's just a matter of these algorithms are in these platforms favor people who are shitting on things. That gets more engagement, I mean, how does that? I mean, we can get into it. I'm not going to argue with it, but like, literally, a main character died in that episode, the last episode. So I don't know how you don't think there's any stakes. Main character bit it. Yeah, that's the thing is, I mean, nothing can compete with the fucking drama of real life, man. And so one of the things that I've seen is just talking about specifically Trump shit is people think that MAGA chuds think that this show is just copying Trump, which is weird. Like, for one thing, wait, I saw a meme that was like, I wish I would have grabbed it. It was like, season 1 Homelander versus season 5 Homelander. Season 1 Homelander, it says he was really deeply nuanced, well written, fleshed out character with nuances, blah blah. It's like, and then season 5 is just does things that Trump does, is what it says. And I'm like, first of all, he really wasn't that fleshed out in season 1. Like, it took 5 seasons to really get the layers. I mean, he started being more layered in season 2 and 3, obviously, but like, talking about Homelander, not Trump. He got somehow less layered. It's weird. But no, Homelander, it takes time to really familiarize yourself with that character, and the actor familiarize himself with playing the character and kind of settle into a groove. And eventually people started noticing that, Anthony Starr was doing something pretty special there. And he is. He has been. But, they're just, to say that he's just doing stuff Trump's doing, it's like, do you mean, and I guess they're talking about this crazy thing that happened where this is just bizarre timing, man. But like, if you haven't watched the show, spoiler alert. So you remember a few weeks ago, when Trump had posted that photo, that AI slop photo of him, a slop? Did I say slop? A slop photo of him as a doctor. He was a doctor, damn it. He was not Jesus. He was a doctor. He's Jesus. You remember that? So like a couple of days before that, The Boys had aired an episode that really kind of introduced, they had been building up to this since last season, really, but like, and it was clear this was going to go this direction. But like, basically now in the final stretch of the show, if you're not watching it, Homelander, the Superman, evil Superman allegory guy, he is running the country, and he, just runs it. And also now that's not enough. Now they're lifting him up to God status, not just a God. They're replacing Jesus Christ and God, Christian God, with Homelander in terms of his followers and Americans and stuff. They've created this new church and state combo that he is the deity of, which also creates all kinds of stuff with him where because he's much like Trump, very insecure, and he can't actually. He thinks of himself as being super special and a god and stuff, but the moment that he catches anybody that doesn't believe in it, that doesn't fully believe in it, that breaks his immersion basically, and he kills that person. So that's what happened with like the character of was her Firecracker, the Alex Jones chick. He could tell that she did not believe what she was saying, and he was like, "Oh wait, you're breaking my immersion here. I'm supposed to be God. I got to kill you." It's not what he said. It's just my interpretation of what happened. Anyway, but yeah, so it's just crazy timing. But it's like, let me show you this. Boys once again has uncanny timing with accidental parody of Trump's Jesus photos. It's completely, it's in one way it's a big coincidence in terms of timing. In another way, it's completely expected. It's kind of what it shows is that this show was written 2 years ago. This season was written 2 years ago. So no, they weren't like somehow just so on top of whatever's happening that they're like, oh, hurry up, write this and then fulfill it. Like they're not doing South Park shit with the show. It just goes to show how predictable somebody like Trump really is. And in a way that like I wouldn't have predicted it, because it would seem too cartoonish. I would not have been like, oh, Trump is going to see himself as God or as Jesus. He's going to try and replace people's belief system and stuff like that. But he kind of has. He's kind of done that with a lot of MAGA people. And if you're still MAGA at this point, man, and you're still like, oh, the country's doing great, we're doing great, he's keeping promises and stuff, just like, holy shit, you are in another world, and you are in a cult, and you have, if you considered yourself a Christian, you're not anymore. You're a maggot guy. Yeah, exactly. Trump does things Homelander does. They do things that are long established characteristics and actions of the strong man, who is, in I think every example probably actually a really weak man inside. And that's, yeah. So you've got an astute showrunner, astute writers, which we're going to get into. That's being a point of contention. Yeah, there's that. Okay, so there's the people that were always going to be pissed off no matter what, unless something comes out and says we're pro MAGA, we're the boys and we love MAGA. Unless it does that, you know, they're going to fucking shit on it. Chuds are going to be mad at it. They're going to grift on it, stuff like that. So that's expected. That's not what really caught my attention. I started, so for a long time, I've had this fascination with series finales rather, and the ending of TV series and how divisive they tend to be. And then sometimes I agree with the negative, consensus. Sometimes I really don't. The biggest one that I'd say that I would argue about with anybody really is Game of Thrones. Do I think that it was perfect? Absolutely not. There was several aspects of it that I think were rushed or just kind of like not done in the best way. However, a lot of the stuff that people get pissy about, I don't fucking get it. I don't understand. Like, oh, it felt, me and my girlfriend talk about this because she thinks all the same things about Game of Thrones, that it was rushed and stuff, felt hurried. They should have stretched it out. When I was like, I feel like at a certain, I knew from the entire run of Game of Thrones that at a certain point, the end game is going to kick in. It's the only thing that could happen. If you understand a narrative like this, like, yes, this is a slow kind of talky, mostly show, but at a certain point, there's going to have to be a final, few confrontations that are going to create some seemingly sudden resolutions. And that's what I feel like a lot of people just didn't fucking expect. And they kind of blindsided them, and then the things like Daenerys Targaryen being nuts, you know what I mean? Like, did you not see the same show I did where she was literally ratcheting up her fucking crazy every single season? It didn't come out of nowhere at all. But people think it did, so that kind of stuff. Are you talking about The Boys? I mean, I don't think so. I want to see how it all ends, but I mean, I don't see what's so disappointing. It's okay. So to say it's disappointing is to say you had expectations, and I'd love to know what your expectations for it were, because that's where I feel like I tend to diverge with a lot of people on these series finale issue, is that I try not to have expectations other than things getting resolved. And I'm seeing people say that certain things are not getting resolved. I'm seeing people say that characters are getting written out of character and it doesn't make any sense. And I just don't agree with it by and large. So we can look at some of those takes, but that's not even the point with this video that I want to look at. The thing with this video I want to look at is, let's check this out. Because I don't know if I should tell this guy's channel name. I don't want anybody to go fuck with him or anything for sure, but like, he's smaller than my channel. But actually, while I look for that video, check this out.
It looks like to have all of the released Epstein files in one place, more than 3.5 million pages printed and bound into books inside the Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Reading Room.
DOJ didn't follow the law, right? They failed to redact names and identifying information of survivors and victims, and they did redact names of co-conspirators. So each of these is about 5 pounds. If you take all 3,437 volumes, it weighs about 17,000 pounds. So if we read for 24 hours and we cover 2 pages a minute, we will read about 3 of these books. This much, this, and this. That's 24 hours of reading. So in order to get through all of these books, we would need to read for more than a year. What we wanted to do in the middle of all of this evidence of crimes, provide a way for us to think about and center the victims. We have 1,400 points of light, one to represent each one of the victims and survivors. We put together these 3 timelines. The Jeffrey Epstein timeline across the top, which are all of his allegations. The Donald Trump timeline along the bottom, which are all of his allegations and crimes. In the middle, all of the times that they were together. I think what you see here is that these 2 men lived remarkably similar lives, which makes sense because they were friends for decades. The difference is one of them died in prison and the other one is the president of the United States. What we hope for and what we hope to advocate for is to have not only all of the files released, but also to have them properly redacted so that it doesn't expose the names of victims or survivors, and also unredact the names of witnesses and perpetrators and co-conspirators so that there is true transparency and that can promote real accountability.
Okay, so I appreciate the answer, and I'm not like saying you're wrong or anything. I'm just trying to dig in a little bit more and get where you're coming from because, um, I don't. So the season starts out with them, several of the characters in a prison camp. So there's prison camps now. That happened over between seasons. There's Homelander prison camps. There are, Homelander's essentially telling the president what's going to happen, and he's essentially running the country. And then, spoiler alert for the most recent episode, he finally just kills the president and becomes the guy. There's that. They're literally in hiding more so than they ever have been. And then in this last episode, that people seem to really not like for some reason. I don't fucking get it. I mean, I know one reason they don't, but the whole thing with the psychics, the introduction of these psychics this late in the game was really kind of genius in my opinion, because they're like, why are they collecting all these psychics? Well, they kind of teased the psychic situation a few episodes earlier, but like now we see what they're doing with them, which is literally using them to make sure that people actually really believe in Homelander as God, and that they're doing mind crime shit. You know what I mean? Like thought crime stuff. They have psychics, so they can do that. And it at once shows the insecurity of fascist, authoritarian government, and this one in particular. And also, it's kind of terrifying, man. Like, thank God we don't have psychics. But yeah, so I don't know. I feel like the status quo is pretty different. It's just not like, I don't know. I want to know what you'd expect for the status quo to be different. But I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm not sitting here saying that your opinion isn't valid. I'm not going to say that. Yeah, true. So, all right. This guy, I don't even remember his channel name. So if he says it, he says it. If not, that's okay. So the video popped up, and this is after I've been looking around on Reddit and seeing some stuff, some posts of people kind of like, why is this season so bad and stuff. And I'm like, what? And I'll read it. And then it seems like there is a lot of people that are joining these choruses of people saying, no, it sucks. It hasn't been good since season 3. And it's like, okay. And then that's one thing. I'm not going to sit here and get mad about that. People think that, that's okay. Maybe I'd probably even agree if I really went back and watched it. I might agree that since season 3, it's not quite as good. Sure. But people saying that it just completely is terrible now and is like ruined it or whatever. Like, I don't get that. Like, why are you still watching it then, for one thing? But then the people start saying certain things that kind of raise my eyebrow. For instance, Eric Kripke is somehow the sole person, he's responsible for all of it being bad, and he's a fraud. He's terrible. He's a fraud. He's not a good writer. Stuff. And it's like, well, wait a second. Did you think it was good the first few seasons? Because he was also the showrunner then. Second of all, he's not the only one writing the show. He's just the showrunner, or he is the showrunner, which is, it's not a small role in the, but he's not the only one. But people seem to just be like zeroing in on the showrunner and saying it's his fault. He's the only one, but then it goes even further. So for instance, in this last episode, there is a scene where two characters that are villains, essentially, they're part of Homelander's crew. One of them is a cat lady. She's like has the characteristics of a cat. Earlier in the season, we saw her litter box had some turds in it. Stuff. It's funny, kind of stupid but funny. And then the other character, Dognot, who is has been set up as being a guy who can sniff out where people are and stuff like that. Okay, so Dognot and this She-Line is what she goes by, I believe her name. They kind of encounter each other, and you got Starlight. Wait, is that her name? Starlighter? Yeah, Starlight. And then fucking I don't know why this sounds weird to me. And Mother's Milk, which doesn't sound weird to me. They just barely make it into hiding, right? They're hiding up in the vents or whatever. And then you're like, oh no, these two characters, they're gonna sniff them out. But they don't, because instead they start sniffing each other's asses. Okay, they're on their all fours. And they're just going around in a circle, sniffing each other's butts and telling each other what the other one had for dinner. And it's fucking stupid. And it made me chuckle. And it's like, it made me groan. It really is what it did. I chuckled at first and I'm like, oh God, like, but I'm seeing people saying that, like, what are they doing? This is a waste of time. Why would they do something so stupid when there's only one episode? And it's like, what do you mean? What show have you been watching, dude? This is exactly what this show has always been. it would be weird for it to just suddenly go, we've only got 2 episodes left. We can't do any stupid humor. You know what I mean? Like it's, and yes, it's still better than the comics. And I've been reading the comics recently. And that's another reason why it comes off to me is like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because yeah, this is exactly the kind of shit in the comics. And we're going to see a little bit of this expressed in this video about certain things that are represented in this season in the show itself. But this guy gives us some clues to how he views media in general outside of the boys, and that's where that's where the problem is. And if the dude ends up seeing this, man, like I don't know anything about you. I'm not going to sit here and cast aspersions on your character. I just think that the way you're talking about media is very, very silly and bad, man. Like, and I think that, I don't know if you recognize that you're being kind of reactionary with this stuff, but nonetheless, we'll see what happens. Here we go. This video is called "The Dark Side of the Boys" showrunner, I guess. Yeah, the Boys showrunner Eric Kripke. The Dark Side of Eric Kripke. I was like, oh no, is this some kind of expose where we're going to learn all of this shady shit? Now, once again, before we start, remember a couple of weeks ago, I did a stream where I talked about Euphoria and its showrunner. So am I a hypocrite? Am I saying, no, you shouldn't talk about this guy or whatever, whenever that guy... Eric Kripke doesn't have any allegations against him about stuff. Eric Kripke doesn't have, a one specific problematic thing that he's kind of been doing repeatedly over and over again his entire career. Yeah, you'll see the difference here.
If you're a fan of The Boys, then you probably know this guy, right? His name is Eric Kripke, and he's best known for his work on the first 5 seasons of Supernatural and for all of The Boys from start to finish. At first, he seems like an alright guy, until you listen to him talk, because chances are you'll hear him say something unbelievably dumb. In my perfect but humble opinion, I do not believe he is a very good guy. I actually think he's probably pretty evil, and I don't believe that.
He actually thinks he's probably pretty evil, man. That's wild.
That's a very outlandish thing to say. All you need to do is...
It is an outlandish thing to say. Unless you have something to back that up, I mean, it is very outlandish. And the things that he says to back up that statement are absurd. And he should be embarrassed for having put this content out. But I doubt he will be.
Hear some of the things he said and look at the things he's created.
First of all, okay, so this is a scene from episode before last. This is from the Dog Terror's perspective. Dog Terror has a Homelander doll that he fucks. That is perfectly in line with the Dog Terror in the comic book, which fucks everything. Well, anything that Butcher tells it to, basically. The dog has been used very sparingly in the show. Only made a few appearances here and there. But it did have its own little segment of a episode where there's kind of, the episode was like different characters' perspectives, kind of secondary characters' perspectives, really. And the dog got a little bit of time, which is great. And it showed him, what he dreams about when he's not actually fucking the little Homelander doll. He dreams about fucking Homelander, right? And so that's what this scene is. And it's funny. It is funny. It is. I think it's just fucking funny to have Anthony Starr get in this costume and get on his knees and and say, come on and fuck me, right? Like, but this is what this guy is presenting when he says, look at the stuff that Eric Kripke puts in the show. Look what he does, and like, dude, all right, I won't hold it back any longer. In a minute, he mentions horror movies and says that, think about all the terrible stuff that happened in horror movies. Somebody thought of that. And he's kind of saying out, I don't know if he's implying, remember if he says it outright or if he's just implying, but like, that if you think of something awful to happen in a movie or a show, that means that person that thought of it is into that. Okay. That's what the premise of this is. That's what his entire foundation for saying Eric Kripke is evil is saying that, never mind the fact that Eric Kripke did not create the idea of the Dog Terror that fucks, everything, right? That is an adaptation of what was in the comic books. But it's neither here nor there, because of the fact that if you don't understand how, I don't know, narratives work, like a writer can, and often sometimes at least should, write things that are completely out of their own perspective, something that's like literally sitting down and thinking, what's something that I would not normally think of, but I'm going to apply it to this character that I'm writing because I want this character to be very specific and very different from me. You know what I mean? Like, that's what writers do partially. It is some Puritan shit. It's fucking Puritan. Like,
fuck me. You wanna fuck me like a good boy.
And that's exactly what we're gonna do in today's video, and by the end I guarantee you will be in the same boat as me. The first
I'm sorry, but we won't be. I won't be. So whatever you're promising, whatever you're guaranteeing, if it's money or something, I want that sent to me, because your guarantee will not be met.
first thing we'll talk about will automatically tell a lot of you what type of guy Eric Kripke actually is. While promoting The Boys Season 2 back in 2020, he went on the record and said, "The most dangerous people are the white dudes standing next to you." Which would be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, except that's just the tip of the
Okay, so, oh boy. That, as far as I haven't watched this whole video yet, but as far as I'd watched, that was the only thing that gets me close to thinking, uh-oh, my Chud radar kind of beeps a little bit. I'm not saying he is, but he at least is under the illusion that that's not true, that the vast majority of, political, racial violence occurs from white people. I'm a white person, by the way. It's just a fact. So when he says that, it lines up with reality. No, I mean, Sean, I'm kind of giving benefit of the doubt because maybe he just has, not seen the data, which understandable because Trump has fucking done everything he could to scrub that data. But let me go ahead and find some data just to make sure that if this dude does see this. I mean, I guess he might be a chud, because what's the implication of him saying that it's dumb to suggest white people are the most dangerous? Is the implication he's saying that it's actually black people? Is that what he's saying? Because yeah, that would be pretty chuddy. But he didn't say that outright. It could just be he's saying a really naive thing, and I don't want to take an implication from it that he didn't mean. But we'll see how the video goes. So there's just been a surge in white supremacist violence, and whether that's official white supremacist groups and beliefs where they're like actually avowed members of some group, or they're just people that are racist and individuals doing crimes that are against people of color, whatever. That stuff has risen. It's simply true. Also, I don't know if you ever heard of this thing called January 6th, 2021. It was like, almost exclusively white people. Not all, but most of them were white people. And they did break into our Capitol building quite violently. They killed at least one cop. They were trying to hang the vice president. That was all white folks. That's not something that black people did. When what's his name, the fucking piece of shit, went into that church years ago and killed a bunch of people in the church. That was a white dude killing a bunch of black people in a church. Black people don't do generally, sure it happens. Statistics, there's enough mass shootings these days that everybody's going to get one now and then. But the vast majority of the mass shootings that happen are white people. So it's just, absurd it's actually really, really stupid to suggest that it's crazy for Eric Kripke to say that. Okay. But that's not all, because it gets stupider. The things that he says here get stupider. My whole channel is prediction. I don't see how that's possible. Like, I'm literally not a chud. I don't fit the description for what a chud is. So, I mean, that's fine. I literally said that, oh yeah, the DC snipers, what year was that? How many mass shootings have happened since then, bud? Come on now. If you're going to fucking try and come in here and cope, you need to have some facts. You need to have some fucking facts. I'm going to make you look stupid, buddy. Come on. true. I mean, even from a non-fucking controversial, this is absolutely true, man. Thank you. You have no idea how many fucking violent instances that happen in this fucking country do you, dude? If you're like DC snipers, 9/11, like holy shit, that's ancient history compared to the kind of shit that happens. Anyway, but never mind that. Quit fucking coping, because the simple data, as Bob points out here, is that there are far more white people than anybody else. So of course it's going to be, you should be more cautious around white people than just by, that's just the way it is. Sorry. The numbers don't lie. And, they don't help you cope either. You know what I'm saying? Watch your neck. Watch out for your neck there, Autumn. Don't get caught in the neck. Just today we honored 10 black people shot by a racist man. As we speak, a racist MAGA guy gets released on a $1 million bond. Yeah. But careful. These are literally the magic words to get shot in the neck. So just be careful when you say those. Okay. Now, there was a guy, I forget his name. He summoned that on himself. He said those words, and apparently, he didn't know that was the way that you summon a bullet to your neck. Oh yeah, I made some little things. Upload these little drops that I made for us, little fun things here. In the meantime, check this out.
I've been tested for autism 3 times. Yeah, I keep getting retested. I keep getting retested because people keep asking. So it's like, I'll check. I remember the first time I got tested was like 15 years ago. Yeah. It was when Asperger's was still a thing. Yeah, it's not a thing anymore. Now they call it the autism spectrum. Yeah, they unnamed it. He was a Nazi. Asperger's was a Nazi, so they now call it the autism spectrum. Yeah, read a book. I remember I took the test, and the guy, he just looked up from his notebook and he goes, well, people with Asperger's generally have above average IQs. So. I'm not smart enough to be mildly autistic. Is what that doctor told me. But then I got a second opinion. I got a second opinion because fuck that guy. Right? Like, I could be autistic.
Hold the fuck up, dude. Are you actually saying that you're talking about white people, right? Because it is absolutely white people that are more on food stamps than anyone else. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Are you kidding me? What do you think what argument do you think you're making here? You're first of all saying just factually, easily just disprovable shit, and then you're talking about the president has had 3 assassination attempts. I mean, half of your own fucking people, your own cohorts. That's false though. That's fucking misinformation. I'm about to fucking ban you from my channel for it. But like the half of MAGA at this point now thinks that at least one of those assassination attempts was not real. Okay, so. Sorry, bud. I know things aren't going well for your pedo president right now. In fact, here, check this out.
The miners! The miners!
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
The miners! The miners!
There's that one. I made this one too.
What's a little genocide between friends?
Pretty good. Thank you for blamoing him. Justifying murdering people. Jesus Christ. It fills me with joy. Makes my heart warm whenever they show up to do that stuff, because the only reason that anybody shows up to do that kind of thing is they feel insecure about the things they believe. Give me 1 minute here. Let me I'm going to show a video. I'm going to talk to my girlfriend real quick.
Who appropriated Asian culture just in such a beautiful way and in such an incredibly violent way. It's Count Dante, the deadliest man alive. April of 1970, a martial arts instructor in Chicago calling himself Count Juan Rafael Dante stormed the dojo of a rival school with 6 of his students. And by the end of the melee, one man was dead from a gaping neck wound. But while this incident was a one-off, it still came to be known as the Dojo War.
There doesn't need to be more than one battle for there to be a war. Sometimes you just need one big one.
As far as who Count Dante was, most people knew him from the ads he placed in various Marvel and DC comic books throughout the late 1960s. In these ads, Count Dante billed himself as the deadliest man alive, whose fighting secrets could be yours only if you join his Black Dragon Fighting Society. Here's an example of Dante's advertising pattern.
Yes, this is the deadliest and most terrifying fighting art known to man. And without equal, its maiming, mutilating, disfiguring, paralyzing, and crippling techniques are known by only a few people in the world. Instructing you step by step through each move in this manual is none other than Count Dante, the deadliest man who ever lived, the crown prince of death.
You can't advertise, I'm going to teach you how to mutilate and paralyze people.
He did, though.
He did dozens upon dozens of times across both major comic book publishers. I mean, he was a mainstay in late 1960s comic books.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of old comics that had his ads in there. That's shit's crazy. They did a whole, maybe there's like a whole series they're doing on him. That's pretty much my favorite podcast, man. I'm not like big into true crime in generally as like a genre, but for some reason these guys I've always liked listening to them talk about stuff. So he keeps getting mentioned in bullshito videos. Is that what you call like what Steven Seagal does? Bullshito? That's pretty funny. Napoleon Blown Apart is one of the coolest names, you know. It's just a good name. Really, really clever, really cool. I like it. I'm jealous. All right, let's go back to this dumb video because yikes. So he like he said, he was just saying that was just the tip of the iceberg. Is he's evil because he, puts. However, okay, the next thing that he mentions, I kind of somewhat agree to an extent with him on. I think it is a bad. There was maybe some mistakes made here.
For Eric Kripke, so let's keep going. If you watched season 4 of The Boys, then you know that Huey goes through some pretty intense stuff, mostly with Tech Knight and his weird sex dungeon. He also gets sexually assaulted by the shapeshifter who pretended to be Starlight. But instead of treating this seriously like he did for Starlight back in season 1, he makes it all a joke. He even has Starlight blame him for it, even though it was literally impossible for him to know it wasn't actually Starlight.
So, the details there we could quibble about. Maybe it should have been possible. Maybe he should have noticed that it wasn't actually her. But neither here nor there. The fact is, they did use the sexual assault of Huey as a joke. That was a point of comedy. Of course, and that's not great in my opinion. They wouldn't do that with a female character. You know what I mean? In fact, the pilot of the show, it mimics adapts the first issue of the comics where Annie shows up as a new member of the Seven, and in the comic, it's the Deep, Homelander, and Black Noir that all drop their pants and say they're like, "Hey, suck it," and then it implies that she does. In the show, they made the choice, and I feel like it was probably the right one. Well, first of all, it was only the Deep. They didn't make every character just the same kind of a creepy shitbag, but it was just the Deep, and she didn't actually do it. And still the fact that he tried is fucked up enough, and it gets the point across. But they didn't make a comedy out of it in the sense. I mean, the only thing that was funny about it maybe is how fucking brazen and gross he was being about it. Like, just to have your fucking pants down and your ass out, like, hey, here it is. You know what I mean? Like, that is to me, it's funny at his expense, right? Like, it's like, what kind of piece of shit are you, dude? Like, that's fucking, it's gross, it's stupid. Why would you even think to do that? You know, so that's the only comedy inherent to that to me, and not even laugh out loud funny. It's just kind of like, oh, fuck, right? So they made that choice. And that was wise, I think, the right thing to do. And then when it comes to Huey in season 4, there's an extended section of an episode where he is sexually assaulted, and because they think he's somebody else, and or at least seems like they did, and then it turns out maybe Tech Knight knew it wasn't the guy he thought it was, or the guy he was pretending to be, and it's not great, not great, and that's kind of just like laughed off and not really dealt with. And then in the same season is whenever they have the shapeshifter have sex with Huey, pretending to be Annie, and that is also sexual assault. Not good, not good. I'm not going to argue with any of that. You know what I'm saying? I will, however, I will point out a YouTube short by the same guy here that I just think is kind of interesting. Let me pull this up real quick. Considering he's right in that take, that one take right there, he's right. Okay. I don't think I could download it. I think I have to just go to it. Sorry. We'll check this out.
Well, get better, or start high and get worse.
That is the first thing that I would say. I am going to do that video eventually that kind of goes over the telltale signs of a fandom grifter, and that is definitely one of them. If somebody never engages in any nuance, if somebody only talks about what they, especially if they're mainly talking about what they don't like, and they talk about everything with very cynical, kind of like jaded. They're not any joy. Even whenever they do say they like something, they almost spend no time, talking about it with any joy or interest. That's a pretty good sign it's a grifter. And I know that it is easy, it's easiest, and it's fun to find a community of people that are shitting on the same thing, even if I would agree with you that it is something bad, right? There's something undeniably fun about that. The sense of community, camaraderie you get with that. It's like, hey, I'm part of something. We all agree on this, and then that gives you a sense of power. And that's what I think one of the things these guys weaponize as well is that they turn what could be just a community into a group of people with a grievance that they can then aim at their perceived targets, like Disney and trans people or whatever the fuck. And it doesn't just stay as being a community. It's they're weaponizing it. What up, Bob?
What up? Mic check. Can you hear me?
Good. Sound good.
Cool,
yep.
Cool.
So did you hear the first part of what I'm currently covering with the Huey being sexually assaulted stuff?
Most of it. I'm sorry I missed talking about the Dim Mak death touch, because that's one of my favorite subjects.
But we can get back into it for sure in a little bit. But
I'm gonna make a video about it on my side channel one day.
You should check out Last Podcast on the Left. They're doing a series on that guy right now. It's fucking great. But
on Frank Dux or
no, what's his name?
Count Dante.
Dante.
Yeah.
So just quick recap, set up what I'm about to show you in this video here. I'll just play it again, the thing that he says, because this part of it, he's right. I generally agree with what he's saying here. Like I was saying in the first episode, which adapts the first issue of the comic, in the first issue of the comic, Annie Starlight joins the Seven, which is like the Justice League, right? Bob doesn't know the show really, so that's why if you hear me kind of giving basic stuff, that's why.
I heard this part.
Okay, cool. So they made the wise choice, in my opinion, the tasteful choice, to not have her actually be sexually assaulted or do the thing that they wanted her to do in order to stay in the Seven. But because she didn't do it, and it's just like that, you still get the effect of like, okay, these guys tried, or this guy tried, and it's fucked up, right? And they didn't need to actually have it happen to the character in order to get the point across. And that was a good choice. And then you fast forward to season 4, Huey pretends to be a different character so they can get into this kind of sex party thing for this degenerate guy or whatever, and he ends up getting basically stuff done to his butt by a few different characters, just because they think it's the other guy who's totally into this, right? And he doesn't want to break his cover, so he never says, "Hey, I'm not that guy." He just kind of takes it, and it's kind of treated. It's definitely treated as a bit of a joke, and it's never treated really seriously. And then right after that, then like the next couple episodes at the end of the season, he has sex with who he believes is his girlfriend, Starlight Annie, but it's actually the shapeshifter character that is taking her form, and yeah, so not great. And this guy points that out as being like something that Eric Kripke, they did this, and I think that was a mistake on their part. And then it was also a mistake, in my opinion, for Eric Kripke to respond to it the way that he did, which we'll watch this real quick and we'll get that bit.
And stuff, mostly with Teknite and his weird sex dungeon. He also gets sexually assaulted by the shapeshifter who pretended to be Starlight. But instead of treating this seriously like he did for Starlight back in season 1, he makes it all a joke. He even has Starlight blame him for it, even though it was literally impossible for him to know it wasn't actually Starlight. It's honestly one of the worst cases of victim blaming I've seen in a TV show or movie. Now, on the surface, that doesn't seem too bad. They don't take a lot of serious topics very seriously in the show, and that's what makes the show special. It's kind of the point. They make fun of a lot of stuff.
So at least he recognizes that in one breath, but then in another breath, he acts like it's some kind of crazy thing to have a character do something gross and absurd, and that somehow represents the fucking writer as what they're into. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Just a point of clarification here, because I have not watched the show.
Sure.
But in the narrative, after Huey has sex with the shapeshifter thinking it's Starlight, and then the real Starlight blames him for it, does the narrative like take her side on that, or is it just her having a perfectly natural human reaction of jealousy?
From memory, it's just and it's not something that, like, they have problems in their relationship throughout their relationship on the show, but I don't think that was one of them that caused any extended. It was just kind of like an episode long, if that, kind of like point of like, oh, that was things that's weird, you know what I mean? Like whereas for instance, this season they were separated, for a bit longer because she was worried about being a danger to him and causing him to die and stuff like that. So like that for at least a couple episodes they weren't together for that reason, but it didn't cause anything like that. It was just more like, yes, like you're saying, perfectly understandable reaction to realizing that your boyfriend fucked somebody else, and then like, and it seems like she figured out pretty quickly that he doesn't feel great about it either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like, did she figure out that he didn't know it was not her, and then like forgive him for it and recognize the real culprit? Or did that just
that was the whole thing, was they both, I think, realized it was not her at the same time.
Okay.
So like, after she had gone somewhere, and then the shapeshifter showed up pretending to be her during that time period, they had sex, and then the shapeshifter snuck out or whatever, became somebody else, and whenever she got back, and then he said something about it, I think, and she's like, wait, we didn't, what are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they both were like, oh god. And yeah.
Okay.
Completely understandable. I think anybody in a relationship, if your partner had sex with a shapeshifter that looked just like you, it would be something that you would take a minute to get, no matter how secure you are with your relationship, there's probably going to be a moment where you're like, oh god, that fucking feels weird.
Statistically speaking, 1/4 of American men will cheat with a shapeshifter. So
yeah. Well, okay, so let's continue on here, because it's about to get really crazy with this guy.
But I think we can all admit it's a little weird that in an interview, Kripke stated that Huey being sexually assaulted was quote-unquote hilarious.
And that is where my agreement ends. So I agree with that. I agree. It is weird for him to say that. There was a weird response. He decided to treat even people's backlash to the scenes as not serious. And just kind of like, yeah, it was funny to do. Not great. But then
I agree totally.
Where he goes next,
Not taking it very seriously in the show is one thing, but calling it hilarious outside of the show is a whole other thing. Because essentially what he is saying is, if a guy gets sexually assaulted, it's funny. And
there we go. No, he's not. That's not what that says. He's saying that he thinks it's funny in this show that he writes, that he creates the narratives for this character. to have this happen, which is everything around the sexual assault, the way it's done, the characters doing it, that there's comedic lines that are said, that, you know, in the way Huey Jack, was it Jack Quaid, is that right?
Yeah.
Is, you know, with a bit of a comedic tone. So I mean, I don't really agree. It's too uncomfortable for me to find the humor in it, but that's just a matter of taste. To then extrapolate from that he thinks it's funny when a man gets sexually assaulted is fucking silly.
Yeah. I think it's more than just a matter of taste, a little bit more. I think it's that the subject of men being sexually assaulted, particularly by women, is very uncomfortable for men to talk about in public. And so the writers may have just unconsciously decided to make it comedic because they didn't want to deal with it seriously because it was too uncomfortable for them.
You know, whatever the reason mistake, in my opinion, we agree on that. I agree with them on that. But let's to extrapolate from that like that's how he views men being sexually assaulted broadly is not something you could really stand behind. It's not valid, in my opinion.
Yeah,
maybe he does. Maybe it comes out later on that's what he thinks about it. But I seriously doubt it. You know, but
I mean, look, media literacy 101 is depicting something is not endorsing something.
Oh yeah, well, tell that to this guy because that seems to be half of his problem. But then also, now I'm going to show you another little video short that I saw on his channel. So this is from his channel's about 2 years old, and this one's I guess from, I don't know, a while back. Another Boys, when he seems to have started his channel, at least what's the first videos on his channel are The Boys, and then he also talks about UFC and stuff a little bit. And then he's talked about a few other shows in the MCU a little bit, but for the most part, it's almost like The Boys is what his thing. So here is this short. I'm just gonna get it shared here. Okay. So, why didn't the Deep wait? This refers to the first episode.
Didn't the Deep just wait? I am 90% positive if he just waited a couple of days and maybe threw some riz at Starlight, he probably could have gotten her to commit a sexual act with him, instead of him just dropping his pants out of nowhere. And if he did wait, then he never would have been kicked out of the 7, and he would be happy. Why didn't the Deep just wait? I am 90%.
Okay. I have seen the first episode of The Boys. It was a while ago, but I have seen that. The framing here, why didn't he just wait?
Yeah, why didn't he? If that would have been the smarter way to do the sexual assault,
right? Right. That's what I was going to say. The framing. And go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no. I mean, it's just the framing is that he's saying, "You idiot, Deep. Why did you do the sexual assault attempt like that when you could have done it smarter and it would have been successful?"
Yeah, the framing is that sex with Starlight is inevitable. And it's just a question of, or let me back up. The framing is sex with Starlight is expected and she owes it to him. And there's a nice way to go about it or a bad way to go about it. And he's saying, why didn't he just do it the nice way? Stick some kindness coins in the machine and out comes one sex.
Well, and also the phrasing of get her to commit a sexual act is so bizarre to me in this context. So like, that's the way that you talk about it when someone's doing something that shouldn't be done, basically. You know what I mean? Whereas if he seems to be suggesting that like, no, this would be a good thing, but then he's not saying, you know, hook up with her or anything. He's like, come get her to commit a sexual act. Like, what? Fucking incel shit.
That's like a robot talking about human sex.
Yeah. And then at the very end there, the end part is also just a whole other thing, which is he would not have been kicked out of the 7 and he would be happy. Okay. The Deep could get blowjobs every day for his entire life. And this dude would not be happy because it's not that deep, bro. He is a very insecure, very fucking just troubled man who is seeking sex like that because temporarily fills a void. That's the show that makes it clear he fucks fish because of this. You know what I mean? Like he has these gills that talk like with Patton Oswalt's voice, for fuck's sake. He's a fucking very alienated, isolated guy that does not have any healthy coping mechanisms. And no, he would not have just been happy.
Right.
Like
Having sex does not solve your problems, sir.
Yep.
Even if you have more than one sex.
It can really create some new problems, I promise you. But so that's just weird thing to be to have that on his channel and then be taking this very morally virtuous and agreeable stance against the way that sexual assault towards Huey is depicted, right?
Right. Also notice in the short you just played about the Deep, he said nothing about Starlight's wants and desires and agency at all. She had no agency in that framing. It was all about
the first comment here. Oh my god, the first comment on this short is exactly. He was her crush. It was just a matter of time.
Wow. Come on. Oh man, we really need sex education in this country. Good Lord.
We need a lot. We need a lot of shit.
We need a lot
to be
smash
different.
Patriarchy. Patriarchy.
Christ almighty. All right. Continuing on, and then we're not going to watch a whole lot of this one because you get the point. I don't think this guy has. I don't know if he's doing this on purpose, where he like knows that doing the most outrageous take is what he is going to get him more views. But I mean, it doesn't seem to be working too well for him. Yeah.
Have how he treats the actors on his show. Now, I'll be honest, for this next point, I can't find the clip, but I promise you that a while ago I was watching an interview where Laz Alonso, the actor who plays Mother's Milk, said that the last thing you want to do is let Eric Kripke know what you're uncomfortable with, because then he'll write a scene where you have to do exactly that.
Okay. This, like I said, a couple weeks ago is whenever I talked about the Euphoria thing. Right, that show and the documented problems with that show and the documented repeated issues that the guy clearly has that has made lots of people uncomfortable, like on the set, in the audience. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, I don't, it could be wrong. Maybe something comes out once this show's over or something, but like, I don't think that's the same thing. I don't think what Eric Kripke, if he said that, which I don't doubt that he said something like that was said, or that it's more like a this is just speculating back at his speculation. Basically, I'm taking it in a less intense direction that it's probably just like, oh, you don't like holding squishy things, I'm gonna write some scene where you're holding a squishy thing or something, you know what I mean, like something like that.
Yeah,
that he's gonna make you do some egregious thing. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I will say I do think it is rational at face value to be suspicious of showrunners and TV producers when it comes to boundaries.
Sure, yeah,
absolutely. But you can take that too far. And with a quote like that, I would want to know the context cues in the interview. Were they joking about it? And it's like a running joke with the entire cast and crew that, Eric's going to make you do something with a squishy thing.
He then immediately goes on to here talk about how the actors seem uncomfortable in certain interviews and stuff, and it's like that kind of shit. I have seen Chuds talk about Brie Larson like that when it's like they'll look how the other Avengers actors hate her. You can tell, and it's like you watch that clip and it's like, what? They're all laughing together. Like, I don't where the fuck. What are you watching? You know what I mean? Like, and it's that's the kind of vibe I get from it. It's like once you start just like reading fucking actor body language or something and to serve a narrative that you already have decided is a thing. But the only time that comes in handy is if like something comes out and it's like confirmed that there was some problem between some actors on set or whatever, then you can go back and look at some interview and be like, oh God, that body language takes on different context now. You know what I mean?
Right. If there's one group of people in the world on whom body language reading is not reliable, it is actors.
Well, also autistic people as well.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
I also have a pretty strong feeling that some of these actors probably don't want to do the stuff they do in the show. I've seen too many interview clips where they look visibly weirded out while talking about some of the things they have done. But then again, these are actors, so who knows? Maybe they love the stuff they do.
Okay, so that's a weird statement. I didn't catch that the first time. So he's basically saying they're actors. So, you know, yeah, we know how actors are. Like, yeah, they probably do love doing the stuff they do. You know, the guy that plays Homelander clearly is having a fucking ball. Like, he clearly loves it. You know what I mean? Like, anytime you see him offset or off, you know, when he's not filming it and just the way fun he's having filming the shit in the show, he's clearly having a lot of fun. Chase Crawford, I've seen interviews with him talking about playing the deep. He fucking loves it. And he's got to do some pretty silly, absurd shit. He's had to fuck an octopus. He's, you know, like,
yeah,
it's
like I would want to know. We don't know this. There's no way this guy can know this, and we don't know this. But I would want to know what the on-set culture is like when it comes to things like discussions of boundaries and stuff like that. Because plenty of actors would be willing to do something that they find uncomfortable if they feel otherwise comfortable, broadly speaking, in the production, and that they're not feeling forced into it.
Yep,
they're being supported. They know they can say no, etc. Then they'll be open to trying something. But I mean, it doesn't sound like he's forcing them into anything. Now, we could find something out later, like you said.
Sure. Well, I mean, one thing that these guys don't talk about is, for example, I watched a video the other day that was like praising the shit out of Carl Urban and the fact that he basically just was a working, you know, he flew under the radar. Everybody kind of generally knew who he was, more or less. You'd seen him and stuff, but he didn't have a role that was really his to chew in, like, to really dig into until he played Billy Butcher in the show. And it's true. He's amazing in the show. He's fucking phenomenal. And like the video that I watched showed how many of the roles he played in the past kind of led up to this. Like, he's using a little bit of everything that he's done before to play this character.
Yeah.
And like, that was also written by Eric Kripke. You know what I mean? As well as Anthony Starr playing Homelander, who just gets praised all the fucking time. I don't know if you ever see that, but like the guy's constantly getting praised for his depiction of Homelander, and he should, because he's fucking phenomenal. He's super compelling. You can't fucking take your eyes off of him whenever he's on screen, whether he's menacing or just like being goofy or whatever it is. It's great roles that. So I mean, like, clearly there's some level of trust and people recognize that these writers are doing something good for some of them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And that's another thing I said at the beginning too, is that there are several writers to this show, and yet a lot of the stuff that I see is like, Eric Kripke is a fraud, and Eric Kripke, and it's like, can you just at least try to blame other writers maybe instead of just the one that you happen to know of?
Yeah. Well, that tells me the guy has some other beef with Eric Kripke.
Yeah.
That he's not letting on.
Yeah.
But now let's take a dive into his writing and what he's created, because that actually gives us some pretty good insight on what's going on in his head. There's no question that in his...
No, it doesn't. Not really. I mean, yeah, you all you get is some insight into how he can create things, like what things he is prone to create. If you look at Supernatural, which I have not seen a lot of Supernatural, but from what I understand, it is pretty tonally different from this show. There's not a lot of the gross out and absurd satire stuff, but he was the showrunner for the first 5 seasons of that. And it was a CW show, so they weren't doing a lot of the shit that they do in this show. So, I don't know. We'll see what he says, but like,
most popular show, The Boys, there's a lot of weird and evil stuff that happens.
A lot of weird and evil stuff that happens.
On The Boys? No.
Yeah, right? Like, yeah, of course there is. That's kind of the point.
You can like the show, but I feel like you have to admit it is an evil show.
No, you don't. What the fuck are you talking about? You have to admit it's an evil show?
What?
Holy, that's what you just said.
Is it possessed by the devil or something?
There's a lot of weird and evil stuff that happens. You can like the show, but I feel like you have to admit it is an evil show.
You have to admit it's an evil show. No, you don't. That is some Puritan fucking shit. And like this, he says he likes the show too. That's what's crazy. He's like, I like the show, but it's also evil. And it's like, wait, so you like things that you think are evil? Really?
Did he say you can like the show. You can like the show, but you have to admit that it's an evil show.
He also says he likes it here in a second.
Okay.
I used to love this show, and I even still like it now, and even I can admit it. I mean, just look at the stuff that happens in it.
Yeah.
So he still likes this evil show.
So the
Dude,
phrase
I don't like evil stuff. I think evil stuff is actually really bad, and I don't want to do anything other than expose it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the phrase "you can like the show" is one of the most condescending phrases that gets used in videos like this.
mm-hmm.
It's not. I guess this guy's Chud adjacent, but like
Yeah,
a lot of Chud channels will be like, "You can like the show, but here's X, Y, and Z reasons why you're wrong," or whatever. So they're like saying it's okay to be wrong, but you're wrong, right? And like they have the correct interpretation of the show, and you don't. You're just stupid for liking it because it's obviously bad. That phrase gets used a lot with this kind of content. So that's a Chud tell right there.
At this point, it doesn't even seem like the show cares about having a good story. They just want to cram as much degenerate stuff in as they possibly.
Oh, degenerate! We got a degenerate drop. Oh shit!
Mm-hmm.
And then what he's showing is Homelander in a bath of milk, which is not just random degenerate stuff. That is actually character relevant, and it shows where he's at. You know, like that's insane to me that he doesn't see what's that is depicting at this point in the show. He thinks he's God. He's been, he's basically had a psychotic break, and he had a hallucination that the mother figure that he used to be his talent coordinator that he killed in season 1, played by Elizabeth Shue, still gorgeous by the way. She shows up and tells him that he's actually a god. He is God, and that's what he needs to get people to recognize and be worshipped as God, loved as God. So he's had a fucking psychotic break because he's been put into a position of power that he has all the power now. That's why he starts off the season that way. Like he is essentially telling the president what to do. And then from there, because he is so deeply broken inside and insecure, he can't handle that level of adoration, and he just cracks. And the only thing that his mind can do is tell him, you're actually God. So you need to make sure that people worship you as that. Right. And like, thank God we don't have a situation like that in real life. But so it's been shown since season 1. He has a lactation thing that he's into. He breastfeeds on Elizabeth Shue's character in the first season. Grown man. And then last season, whenever the firecracker character started taking some pills so that she could lactate, and that was a thing, right?
Oh, so
and
that's like a fetish of his or something?
Okay. Yes. And it also kind of just it's like a really weird and gross way to show that like he is a fundamentally broken guy that did not have a real childhood. He was raised in a lab, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was tested on and shit. Like I think it was last season, he actually went back to the lab he was raised in and met with all the people that raised him and killed them all. But so him being in a bath full of milk now that he got from, I forget what he said, where he says it's something like some other countries, something maternity ward. I don't remember. Like he's in a bath full of mother milk, right? Maternal milk. And that is a perfect picture of where he's at as a character, right? He's no longer just breastfeeding. He is bathing in milk that he's basically ripped from somebody's, in some other country's fucking store. And then this is when Soldier Boy, his father, comes in and finds him this way, and he's like, "What the fuck?" You know what I mean? Like it's not just showing degenerate stuff just to cram it in there. It's literally this character is reacting to it as that, like, holy shit, this guy's fucking gone insane. Even more so, you know what I mean? It's so fucking. It almost seems bad faith. It's such a wrong read. Like he's intentionally doing this, almost saying this shit, because I don't see how you can misunderstand it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a few things you can take from it, right? Yeah, milk is a key piece of iconography towards Homelander. Yeah, like literally, he meets the character of Mother's Milk for the first time at the beginning of this season, and he's like, you didn't tell me this guy's name was Mother's Milk.
Why is his name Mother's Milk?
Yeah, because his name is his name is Marvin Milk. But like, so he's a little bit stronger and smarter, I guess, than the average person, because his mother had what's the V compound that creates superheroes in this universe, in her system or whatever. Yeah. So he goes by him. And then also, he tells another story in this recent episode where he got made fun of, and that was a name that they called him. You know, they went from calling him Marvin Milk to Mother's Milk, and he actually thought it was a cool name, and he adopted it, and kind of wore it as a badge.
So his powers have nothing to do with milk.
No, wait.
Okay.
The character Mother's Milk. No, he doesn't have really any powers per se. He's just a little bit more sturdy, I think, than the average person. Yeah. Also, milk baths are a thing. That's right. I mean, usually not that kind of milk, but still.
Possibly can. While rewatching The Boys, whenever a bizarre sexual scene or just an over-the-top moment happens, I can't help but think, who is coming up with this stuff? I feel like a lot of times we forget that when we watch shows like The Boys, or even horror movies where terrible things happen, someone had that in their head and was passionate enough to actually put it in a movie or show.
Bro, stop watching movies and shows, please. You're not.
Well,
you're
I
not,
mean, he's not wrong. Someone did have that in their head, and they were
but
passionate
the
enough.
implication of where he's going with it is the fucked up thing.
Yes, I do.
To say that, I mean, not every horror movie that, like, all the horrible things that it's not like somebody had that in their head and then was passionate enough to. They might be writing a horror movie and have to think of something. I really want to think of something, maybe with other writers or co-writers, that we can really, disturb the audience with, right? And so they think of something that is meant to be disturbing, like, yeah,
right. Well, like genres like horror and action are ways for humans to engage with our fascination with violence in a safe way.
Yeah.
And also to have a cultural outlet for expressions of those things in a way that is usually not harmful to other people.
Well, I know that she's on her shit list these days. Definitely not saying anything that I'm agree with outside of this one video. ContraPoints did a video on the Saw franchise recently. And it was a pretty good video. She still makes good videos whenever she's not talking about Israel. And it is, she talks about how when she first saw whichever first one she saw in the theater, it was like she was going to see whatever, girly movie, little kid movie that was, and then like she didn't get to see it in there in time or something, so she sat down in a Saw movie that was on, and she didn't know what to expect, and she left like freaked out. She was like 12, I think she said, 13, whatever, and it freaked her the fuck out. And she actually had this reaction of like, how the fuck, like, that is evil. Who the fuck would come up with that and put it in a movie and put it on screen? You know what I mean? And like, of course, then she goes on to say that she was a child, and that was a child's understanding of what movies are. And now she's like a big fan of the Saw movies. And she's going to explain why, exactly what you're saying, Bob, about that. This is how we engage with, things that we otherwise don't want to engage with in reality.
Yeah. I think she has an older video, much older video, I think, that was just called Violence, back when she was making videos that were one word. And she made the point in that video, I think, that the thing none of us want to admit culturally is that violence is fun.
Yeah, she kind of does a reissue of that in this.
Yeah. And so like horror and action and things like that are ways for us to indulge the fun side of violence. And we do it through art because we recognize that doing it for real hurts people and can get us killed. So we want to avoid it, but we feel a need to engage with it as well.
Also, if you're gonna cast aspersions on the person who created the thing, who had the idea and committed it to film or whatever and put it out there, how do you not also cast that on yourself for being someone who repeatedly watches the show?
Right. Like the idea that just because the person had this idea in their head that it tells you something about their morality is nonsense.
Dog shit. Complete dog shit.
Yeah.
It's some of the people that people I've known that are more into horror as a genre than I am, and I'm kind of pretty into horror, but I've known people that are very, like, that's their primary genre, are some of the sweetest people that I've ever fucking known. Like, like legitimately terrific people, and would bend over backwards to do anything for a friend or even somebody they didn't know. You know what I mean? Like, and would take no delight in cruelty towards anyone.
Yeah.
and they love seeing guts ripped out of people and stuff like that. So, you know, I mean, me, like, that stuff can make me uncomfortable as just like, oh God, that's upsetting. But like, what I've always been a fan of since I was a little kid is especially practical effects. So like, if there's some practical gore, I'm into it. Like, not because I like gore, because I'm just like, oh my God, how'd they do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I get really
Yeah.
fixated on that shit. Yeah, this guy's whew. This is about where I stopped it earlier. And I was like, oh my God, I gotta watch this tonight.
Eric Kripke must have a room full of people whose only job is to come up with the weirdest shit imaginable, and he's the one greenlighting all of it.
Well, that's true. So maybe he doesn't realize, like you guys are saying in chat, maybe he doesn't realize that this was based on a comic book. And here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing, whatever your channel name is, it's Better Call Sally. Okay. Better Call Sally. This is a toned down version. The adaptation is actually toned down compared to the original source material. You should go check out Garth Ennis's The Boys, or really Garth Ennis's anything almost.
Yeah.
He is renowned within the comic book industry for being, you know, maybe sometimes even often a little too much edgelord shit just for the sake of being shocking. But sometimes he actually does it right on the line where it's like it's making a good point and it's shocking, and those two things can be done in such a way that it's effective. The Boys comic book is so much more just brazenly like I think I'm in issue like 4 or 5, and there's the F slur has happened a few times already. The R slur has happened a couple times. You know what I mean? So like, if that tells you anything, of course, there was a lot more of that in the early mid 2000s. So, excuse me. Yeah, this child needs to be left behind. I don't know, man. I can be done with this. I'm just going to get more frustrated, I'm sure, here and go deeper into this shit. But
well, we don't want to steal his content, so yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, so it's just. It's not even just him. It's just knowing that this is probably somewhat, there's a segment of the audience that thinks this way is frustrating.
I see content like this as being produced by people who don't quite understand how creativity works.
Yeah.
You know, there are people in the world who aren't creative, and that's fine. But to not understand creativity and think it's a problem with the creative people is a little weird.
It truly is.
You know, like, and by they don't understand creativity, what I mean is that this person has no experience themselves with trying to make art or express emotion through a physical medium, be it like sound or painting or something like that. They just consume content and engage with the emotions it sparks in them. And
but
that again
not
is
in
fine.
any kind of like analytical way, just more like a reactionary way.
Right. But again, that by itself is fine. That I think most humans are probably that way. But this guy is putting he's elevating his point of view above that of people who understand what they're doing better than he does. It's like the artistic equivalent of Dunning-Kruger, basically.
Yeah.
He thinks he understands art better than the people who are making it, and he has no experience doing it himself. That's how it comes off to me.
Yeah. Yep.
So what's next?
Well,
who's next on the chopping block, boys? Chuds are back on the menu.
I guess we could look at that fucking Star Wars video, but
Oh, the one about the prequel erasure?
yeah, I'm trying to look at the time and see, like, so I don't know if it was like what a 30-minute video or so, something like that.
It's long-ish. Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we could, if we were going to cover it, that we could cover the latter half where he really gets into the stuff that I find, because I gave it, completely open to thinking that this was going to be a really good take, even though it starts off just shitting on the sequel trilogy, which I don't agree with. But I mean,
Mhm.
I still was open past that. I was like, okay, doesn't like the sequel
Well,
trilogy.
I will say the beginning of the video hooked me because he does a parody of the
Yeah, that was
voiceover
the
in
ring
Lord of
stuff.
the Rings, and it was funny. The
Yeah.
guy was funny.
It was.
So I was kind of hooked by that for a little while, and then like I started to realize, oh wait, right. But I mean, we can jump ahead to the part. We can just tell people what the video is and jump ahead to the part you wanted to talk about to save time.
Well, I kind of just
because it's
Well,
worth. I think it's worth engaging with.
let's talk about the
personally.
Punisher first. Let's talk about the
Okay.
Punisher. What time we have after that? Because I did advertise to talk about the Punisher.
All right.
Punisher, One Last Kill is pretty good.
It's pretty good, yeah.
It's about as good as I think that you can really get with the Punisher. I think it was very smart for them to keep it short and not a full length feature. But I think that any longer, and you would end up, they would have revealed the secret of the Punisher, which is that he's not a very deep or compelling character. Once you get past the basics, he's very traumatized. And look, Bernthal fucking puts it all out there, man. He squeezes the shit out of this character, and you know, the juice is ripe, right? Like he does a great job. But it's just there's only so many times you can do PTSD, the trauma of losing his family, oscillating between suicide and murderous, and you know what I mean. And that once you do that, it's like you can't. I'm actually pretty impressed because the way that the thing ends. Spoiler alert for this, by the way. The way that the thing ends almost does kind of evolve the character a little bit.
Yes, that's what I found most interesting about it.
It's like he's like a community-centric Punisher now, where he's like doing it for the community. That's fucking cool, right?
He's okay. He is, by the end of this, he's Jack Reacher. That's the way I read this.
Yeah.
He has become the I don't know if he's wandering, but he's the barbarian who doesn't understand civilization and avoids it as much as he can, but he still needs to come in for supplies every now and then. And he has an intrinsic sense of justice. So every time he engages with civilization, he encounters a group of oppressed people and gets mad at the people exploiting them, wrecks their oppressors, and then he leaves.
He's essentially what Wolverine has become in the comics, where he's Wolverine since the time that his origin was revealed, and then a few years later revealed to him. And then from there, he just dealt with a lot of his unresolved trauma and shit. And then, things happen and blah, blah, blah. And now it's to the point where Wolverine is still violent, still willing to kill. But he's like, does it for the right reasons. And he's not going crazy because of his trauma all the time. And pardon me for using the term going crazy. I hope you guys remember and know that I've dealt with trauma. I don't actually think it means crazy. It's just euphemism I'm using here. Okay. He's not like losing his shit and all the time and uncontrollable. And it kind of seems like maybe that's what they're trying to set up with him for the Spider-Man movie.
And they're clearly setting him up to be a character who has projected his need for revenge for his family's death onto the task of protecting other people who are innocent, particularly children.
Right, because like he didn't see himself as having a purpose or a life beyond doing the punishing of the people connected to his family's death. So he finally got there. He finally did it. And they're all gone essentially, except for Ma, who I guess he decided she's just going to let her be, which is kind of a growth moment in of itself.
She's such a frail person.
Yeah,
that I think you could read it as it triggered a change in him because he realized killing her that would just be too distasteful even for him, right? He would feel
definitely this version of the Punisher, but the comic book version of the Punisher, things played out a bit different with Ma.
I'm sure.
But
this version of the Punisher, it wouldn't feel to him like it was a fair fight, basically.
So in the comics, she ends up in a wheelchair, but she is not at first in a wheelchair. She ends up that way because he has dogs chew her limbs off, basically. It's kind of crazy.
So he's responsible for putting her in the wheelchair. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I'm glad they didn't do that in this this story.
Yeah, they just started off, rather than I thought it was kind of cool that they chose to start her off as being, in a wheelchair and disabled instead of avoiding that altogether. But like, yeah, so here she is when we first encounter her in the comics there. And she's pretty evil lady, but then whenever Frank's done, she looks more like find that shit. Where's it at? Where is it at? Oh yeah, here we go. That Garth Ennis as well, by the way. So.
Yes. So I'm glad they didn't go this route in the show. What I really liked about this show, I'll call it a show. I don't know what we call it. One shot. I don't know. To me, it felt like the movie The Raid in reverse.
Yeah.
And The Raid is one of my favorite movies. If y'all haven't seen The Raid, I think it's an Indonesian movie. With Tony Jaa. Look it up. It's amazing. But it was basically that scenario in reverse. He was trapped.
If you watch The Raid and you love it, which if you like action at all, you will, then you're going to want to watch The Raid 2, which is also awesome in different ways. It's like, it's what happens whenever the filmmaker says, okay, let's do that, but also do a little bit more artistic, cinematic kind of experimentation in it. Right. And then you might end up going down the same rabbit hole of just like finding other movies that these actors are in generally, because that's what I did too. Anyway.
Right. And if you like The Raid and The Raid 2, you should look up The Night Comes for Us.
Absolutely. God damn, that was good.
And then keep your eye on a movie that's circulating right now called The Furious. But anyway, this story felt like when Mon Nucci unleashes the chaos, it felt like, or it basically was The Raid in reverse, in the sense that he's inside the building and he needs to get out.
Yeah.
And
well, so I want to say, by the way, Bernthal really fucking set his legs on fire. That's the only explanation for this. Like you could tell there was the padding and under his jeans that they used to protect, that stunt guys use. But that was fucking Bernthal. That was him. He fucking, this is a guy who set his legs on fire for you people. You better appreciate him. So there was one thing that I saw going around. The shot of him, he does, he goes over the side of the building, he shoots the guy in the head, and then he lands on his back on like some kind of dumpster or on like a thing or whatever. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Did you notice that it kind of looked a little weird?
I did not.
Well, it's going around. The Chuds are sharing it. I saw that Nerdrotic shared it. So, they're doing their thing where they're just whatever they can do to seize on to go, look, it's not good or whatever. And
oh, God.
However, apparently they're saying that they just use this whole CGI thing. That apparently is not what happened. Let me pull up this short here.
They didn't actually throw John Bernthal off a building. Oh my God, it's garbage.
Okay, here we go.
Do you think this shot is all CG? Because we now have the answer.
That bit of it is what's being shared around, and whenever I looked at it, I was like, that is kind of wonky looking, but it's apparently more nuanced than just than the whole thing being fake.
This clip from the Punisher One Last Kill special is going viral because it looks, well, not great. Fans have noted that it looks unfinished and John Bernthal's Frank Castle looks like a video game character. Personally, I thought it looked like Joel from The Last of Us. However, in an article from THR, it turns out this entire shot was shot in camera and the only part that was VFX is the Bernthal face replacement. Let's see if it looks more realistic with the face censored. What are your thoughts? Is it bad VFX or is it just the...
So no, I mean, yeah, that seems to be the case. Like if you don't focus on the face, and everything else just looks great. It looks fine because it's real. It's a real fucking stunt guy falling on a thing. But
this is the kind of thing I do not pay attention to, and I don't care.
And I mean, this is the reason that this is a 45-minute thing on Disney Plus instead of a full feature-length film is because once again, the Punisher has his uses. And I've said this, you can go back and check my fucking math and my goddamn Punisher videos 6 years ago. The best use of the Punisher is contrasted against a character like Daredevil or Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I mean, just it is. It just is. Because then you can have something to say about each character, and you can have each one of them challenging each other and stuff. And shit's great. So anything else like is risky, and it makes a lot of sense that they, I saw somebody speculating that they might have spent like $40-50 million on this, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man, that seems high even from what I can tell.
That's
but
pocket change for Disney. Pocket change.
They did have a lot of fucking extras. They basically locked down seemingly a whole couple of blocks of the city. If any of that was actually real location shooting. But like this is clearly Bernthal is a co-writer of this. He's probably the most involved with his character that he portrays as anybody in the MCU, right?
Yeah.
Like as far as ownership, and maybe I guess Charlie Cox probably too, and Vincent D'Onofrio. They all have a little bit of a say so because they've done such specific work with their characters that people like. So, yeah.
And this seems like something that Bernthal, like maybe this was in part a passion project for him. It just feels that way to me. I don't know if that's actually true, but it has the feel of a passion project. And it does demonstrate that basically the Punisher story in the MCU is done. He's going to get one last hurrah in the Spider-Man movie where he might die. I don't know, but
I think that would be unless they find a way to continue him on as being a kind of nerfed Punisher, because let's be honest, that's what it would be.
Mm-hmm.
If he has decided to, like, I'm not going to kill everybody, which it seems to be the case, and I'll only kill if somebody really wants, if they've been wronged, right, kind of thing. Then that is not really the Punisher. I'm not saying they couldn't make good content out of that. They probably can. It's just it is definitely nerfing what the Punisher's edge has always been and kind of defeating the purpose. And then it's kind of making him more of a gee golly, Disney-fied Punisher. And I'd rather just honestly see him not exist in MCU than to see that for very long.
So like narratively, it would make sense for him to die in the Spider-Man movie. He doesn't have to, and they can keep him around and do more things with him. That is also narratively
I think that
viable.
the biggest bang for your buck you could have in that movie is he's giving Spider-Man a hard time. Spider-Man doesn't want to take him seriously, doesn't think he's a good guy, you know what I mean? Whatever, they have their conflict throughout the thing. And yet at the end of it, Punisher saves Spider-Man's life and dies. And tells and that basically he does it in a heroic fashion that causes Spider-Man to reconsider himself and his role as a hero, because I'm pretty confident there's going to be some exchange about Frank telling him, like, you're the hero, I do what I do so you can be the hero, right? Like, you don't. And so Spider-Man fully embracing his the symbol that he is, kind of thing, becoming a legit hero. That I think that's going to happen. Whether or not it involves him dying, I think that's just the most impactful way that you could have happen in the movie. Big emotional thing, and yeah, be great.
Yeah, and there's strong indications that that the Punisher is going to be protecting Sadie Sink's character.
Okay.
Who, because they've released some set photos of him doing that.
Okay.
So I still don't think she's Jean Grey. That would be stupid, but it wouldn't be stupid, but I don't think it would make sense for what they're trying to do with that movie. But
it's so bizarre that so many people are so confident about it.
I mean, she could be, who knows? But what this little show did was set up Frank to be that character and have that character make sense in the Spider-Man movie. Like, if we just go from the last time we saw him in Daredevil and then put him in a Spider-Man movie where he's acting basically like Lone Wolf and Cub, or like Wolverine was in Logan, and protecting a child, you're like, what the fuck? What happened? So this was like some connective tissue that makes that make sense. And it was very well done. I think it was about as well done as they could have made it.
Yeah. I mean, it's brutal in the ways that it should be for the Punisher. It's got just enough humanity in it to I saw Nando V Movies or whatever he goes by. He had a couple of good takes. I was like, I could see that. He said that because this doesn't actually follow directly from Daredevil Born Again as much as I was led to believe it would, because there's not really any mention of Fisk or any of that. You could kind of take it that way or not. Basically, you could say that yes, this follows after the end of the season, or it's just some other time.
Mhm.
But what he said that I thought kind of liked was like you could almost see this as this is the Punisher wrote this himself, as in like when he's walking through the city and you just see all this chaos happening all around him and shit like that. That's not really necessarily happening, and that's just how Frank sees the world, kind of.
Yeah, that's kind of how I read it too. Yeah,
It does have a bit of a dreamlike quality to it in that way. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Especially because he sees himself, walks past himself in the skull early on,
Mhm.
which is like, is that his past or his future? I think is what that's supposed to represent. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, you're right. It is exactly what it needed to be. I enjoyed it. It was quick. You got a good few minutes of here's what he's going through. Here's the fucking, compared to other Punishers, right?
Mhm.
So Thomas Jane. I've always said that movie should be called The Prankster. He basically just does some pranks on a few people.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm gonna put a fire hydrant here by your car, and it's gonna get towed. But like, he's that Punisher. You could see Thomas Jane's character settling down with Rebecca Romaine, and starting a new life. You could see that. He's not completely unhinged. He's just getting some revenge, right? This Punisher he needs a lot of therapy, like a lot of
Yes, he
fucking
does.
therapy. Right?
Yeah. And I appreciated that this was a very simple narrative.
Yeah.
And with relatively low stakes. Like he wasn't saving the world, he wasn't saving the city. He was just like making a choice to save one person rather than kill himself or go out in a blaze of glory taking down Ma Nucci or whatever. That was it.
Yep. Think about what you're right. The what that said. So at the beginning, whenever he's first in that shop, and he it shows you that shop owner, the girl's dad, is a good guy. There's a guy comes in there, is clearly having mental health issues, and he doesn't treat that in a hostile way. He kind of treats that in an empathetic way. And then you see the little girl clearly looks and sees Frank on the TV, sees it's him, and waves, and like just gives him this little wave. And that's like enough humanity, enough connection to people for Frank to, ground himself in, kind of thing. And it's understated. It's not something that's talked about, but man, it's fucking well done. And yeah, cool.
So we just spoiled that entire thing for everyone. So go watch it.
There is a video. You know what? Let's fucking do it. Let's just watch this guy real quick because he's not even worth really responding to that much. But like,
all right, roll the beautiful bean footage.
Let me find the video. In the meantime, check this out.
Talk about my experience on Bar Fight because it gave me some first-hand knowledge on just how decadent the Daily Wire is. They pay to fly you out to their studio that has full-time security. They have multiple high-quality sets designed by their full-time Hollywood set designer who I met when I was there. So she might literally be designing sets 40 hours a week. And that makes sense because every time they fire someone like Brett Cooper, they have to go in and revamp the whole room for the replacement. Plus, she told me that she does the interior design for all of the hosts' houses. Multiple times, in fact, when they pick up all their crap and move from California to Texas or Tennessee. But I see through her lies. This elevator on the Michael Knowles show doesn't go anywhere. It's all fake. They have multiple sound guys, a makeup and hair crew, producers who pretend to be audience members and ask questions.
Do we have another question? Hi, guys. This isn't a question. This is just a comment. These Somalis, they're coming over and they're committing the fraud. They bring their garbage with them.
A camera crew, and more. Dozens and dozens of employees. So maybe they are struggling financially, but damn if they don't have absurd amounts of money to throw around. Anyway, I covered this episode of Bar Fight on stream, so go check that out if you want to see me call Michael Knowles a bad actor and gay.
No offense, your acting was really bad. If you were a better actor, you wouldn't be here doing this Bar Fight show.
We've had gay characters in movies and TV shows for years, decades.
Since at least you were in college.
At least. Oh, and I also got this clip of prolific transphobe Michael Knowles using the women's restroom.
The problem with transgenderism is that its acceptance at any level necessarily entails the complete destruction of women's bathrooms.
Yeah. All right. Are you guys ready for this? So, yeah, I'm just going to put it on the screen.
Is this the guy? Wait, before you say anything, is this the guy that killed the puppy and then got killed by Punisher at the end?
I think so, yeah. This is him. He's like, look, this Punisher sucks, man. He sucks. I don't have any personal grievances or anything. No, this is a Hero Bishop show. Is the name of his channel?
Hero Bishop. Okay.
And look, man, Blade Runner 2049 is one of my favorite films, period. So, like, cool. You have some sense of taste. I don't know what happened to it whenever you're analyzing the Punisher. It just kind of seems to go out the window. Yeah.
Look, I hate to break it to you people, but John is not a very good Punisher. As a matter of fact, even Dolph Lundgren's Punisher is a better Punisher. We all know Ray Stevenson is the GOAT.
No, we don't. We don't. I mean, look, the Ray Stevenson movie is bare bones and just like a schlocky, kind of almost like a horror movie. It's so fucking ridiculous. He punches a guy's head off, basically punches a hole through a guy's face at one point, and it's just like, it's so. I walked out of that movie theater. I mean, I was not feeling well anyway, but like about half an hour into it, I was like, "Fuck this, dude. This is stupid." Like,
it's not a very good movie.
No,
I do agree. Ray Stevenson is the GOAT, though, but not for this movie.
Right. I mean, he's not. You know, he was fine as the Punisher. It's just he was. I don't know. There wasn't much to him. He didn't do much, and he did. That's what he was supposed to do, I guess. That's what Lexi Alexander, I think her name is, the director, wanted him to do. Then you know, I used to say that like the Thomas Jane movie and this movie, Warzone, if you smash together the best parts of them, they'll probably make a pretty good Punisher movie.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You know, like take Thomas Jane and his kind of portrayal, and then put more of the edge of the other movie into that, and there you go. But like, yeah, this guy's whole attitude is just corny to me. Where you're like, I hate to break it to you, bros, but like that's not him. Sorry to sorry to burst your bubble. You know, you know, I mean, like, when in fact, literally, John Bernthal actually is the Punisher, and I don't mean that in like the portrayal. He literally has been cast and is still cast as playing that role. So like, it's just factually not true what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah.
But we'll get into that later. And I've already made a video about that, which I will link below. And I know this is going to upset a lot of people. No.
I mean, that's pretty funny using that clip, but still.
I know it is. If that upset.
You know, nobody's upset here, I don't think.
I'm so triggered. Oh my God, I'm so triggered. He got me.
What upsets me, Hero Bishop show, is people who think that because they have a very strong opinion on something, that because it's so strong and they're so convicted in their opinion, and I don't mean convicted in some other way that maybe your tattoos indicate you could have been at some point, but I'm saying, you know, conviction, right? Like in terms of how much you believe it. Just because you believe it so strongly that just necessitates other people who aren't as aggressive about their opinion, it's just not valid, right? Like, I don't fucking like that. I think that's a pretty shitty way to be a fan. Like, I appreciate that you have this opinion. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong, but I am going to say that, like, find a way to express it that isn't like so fucking combative. It's not necessary. And I bet you'd probably even do better. You'd perform a little bit better. Maybe not. Maybe this is, you know, he's going for the ranting for vengeance kind of route. I don't, he's another guy. I don't know if he's anything, if he's chuddy at all. I really don't. Some indication here in a minute, but yeah.
That's you. I'm sorry. It's just my opinion. But why does Punisher look like a DJ at a pool party? I'm serious. This is supposed to be Frank Castle, the most feared man in the Marvel Universe, and he's got a Pauly D blowout and a beard. I'm about to break it down for you now. Stay tuned.
Hero Bishop Show, it's party time, it's excellent. Hero Bishop Show, it's party time, it's
Okay, now I'm upset.
Man, when he first came out in Daredevil and then his own series, we hadn't seen a violent version of Punisher like that since the goated Warzone movie with Ray Stevenson. So maybe people saw the anger, the violence, and they got happy, and they tricked themselves into thinking, "Oh, this is the best Punisher." And
no, man. I mean, the violence is not the thing that, I mean, that helps. The thing that fucking won me over is the sequence of Frank and Daredevil on the rooftop arguing, just going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
That's the scene that sticks out to me, is like the moment that I'm like, holy shit, this guy fucking, he's it. You know what I mean? Like, and at the same time being further reminded that Charlie Cox is fantastic as Daredevil. Like, and then just seeing them live action, having this discussion, this fucking intense argument about who's more effective and, you know, what's the right way to be kind of thing, and who's more legit, basically, that I've seen in the comics before and has been done in the comics many times. But to see it live action and done so well, I was like, fuck, this is great. That's what won me over.
Well, like you said, the Punisher works best as a foil for another character.
Yep.
And I haven't read many Punisher solo stories, but the few I have read, I was just like, eh.
There's some really good ones, you know. I mean, for what it is, like it can only be so many types of thing, though. Like, you know, and a lot of them Garth Ennis wrote. Like there's what is it? The forget the name of it, but it's the one that goes into his time in Vietnam, and it also goes into his time as a little kid, and kind of like basically indicates that it's not just his trauma that created, like, the comic book version of Punisher is kind of canonically was born and then was pretty quickly just a psychopath. Like that's his thing. He is a psycho. And in like almost a literal sense, like his life has constantly been about keeping that suppressed, and generally there is a part of him that causes him to aim it at more apt targets, but he essentially is just a violent fucking psychopath. Yeah. So maybe that's what he wants. You know, maybe that's what he's expecting to happen. I don't know. To say Punisher Warzone the comic is like, I don't know, man. It's fucking weird. It's bizarre to think that somebody could see the beauty in a movie like Blade Runner 2049, and then also just like think Punisher Warzone is GOAT.
Well, we don't know this guy's take on Blade Runner 2049. It might be terrible as well.
True.
But so far, the guy has not said anything substantive. He's just complained about the production design and the makeup and hair.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think that maybe the Hulk has more going for him as a character and potential narrative than Frank, but I see what you're saying. There's similarities there. I think that the Hulk there's more that can be done with him for sure.
maybe there was a lot of people who weren't comic book fans. They were just Netflix watching general public normies, which seems to be the case with a lot of these super.
That's not me. I've read lots of comic books about the Punisher. I've owned lots of comic books for the Punisher. I go back and check once again in my videos on the Punisher. Hey, in case this guy ends up seeing this, I'm gonna go ahead and say this. Jerry Conway, rest in peace, sir. The creator of the Punisher, he approved of my Punisher videos that exist on my channel in 2020.
Nice.
And I don't know how much he watched of them or whatever, but like he must watch some of it because he was like, he approved of it on Twitter. So I don't know if that's enough clout for you to say that I know about the Punisher and I have an appreciation for him, but also understand his limitations. That's the thing.
Superhero interpretations that everybody loves, so they thought it was the best Punisher. But all the other Punishers have one thing in common. They at least looked like some version of the Punisher. I would say Dolph Lundgren and Thomas Jane were more like the Jim Lee versions. And I would say Ray Stevenson is like the goated Punisher Warzone version, John Romita Jr., Chuck Dixon, or the Garth Ennis run of Punisher. But the thing that all these
praising Chuck Dixon, that's a
red flag. Yeah.
You know, like
to be fair, Chuck Dixon did write some good stories in his day, so I don't want to.
I've even said this QAnon comic is a competent narrative, which, you know, surprising that Riververse was able to get that. But like this kind of take has always been, well, not always, because I used to have the take like this early on in superhero adaptations. I would go, why isn't Wolverine wearing his costume? It's not real Wolverine. I had that kind of dumb take. I grew out of it. You learn to, even if you still hold on to like, I really wish they would put him in his yellow costume, and then they eventually do. But like, you just kind of learn to accept that that's not the case so far. So let's find what's positive about it, right? That just like zeroing in on little things that aren't exactly the same. Like, for example, I guess he doesn't look like any of the most famous versions of the Frank, I suppose. And yeah, actually what he's saying, he's making good points here about the similarities between these versions. But I don't think that needs to be like that's not the Punisher's defining thing, is this various like it's the characterization is what matters.
Yeah, I was going to say this is like this kind of thing is like one step below complaining about race swapping a character, right? Because it is focusing on something superficial about the character design, and if you don't like the character design, that's fine. I'm not saying you have to like the character design in the movies or whatever, or the MCU, but you're missing the point of who is this character as a person, and how well did the actor and the script portray that person, and does it feel like the character you're familiar with from the comics or the book or the video game, as the case may be. Yeah. That's the metric I use. Like when I watch adaptations of a property I love, I don't care if they get the lore right or if they get the costuming right, as long as they get the character right. If it feels like the same character, just in a different timeline or a different continuity or whatever, but I still recognize it as that character, then I'm happy.
That's exactly what the Fox X-Men movies did, where like everything was mostly wrong except for the basic characterization of Wolverine, Professor X, and Magneto.
Yeah.
And they nailed those so well that like it kept me, into it, even though I would be very frustrated with basically every time a movie would come out, there would be several things I was frustrated with. But I'm like, at the end of the day, man, that is he's Wolverine. He's doing Wolverine. That's the pathos and the, all that. And then, especially once you get to the younger, the younger Magneto, I feel like is more compelling a little bit than Ian McKellen's, but they're both good. But like, it's all good. Although they're both versions of those are good, but everything around it was very, very frustrating. Yeah, I agree that characterization is what matters. I mean, what this strikes me as is just honestly a dude who really likes the Punisher and likes specific Punisher stories, and that's fine. That's cool. I'm not going to take that away from anybody, but sees that as a way to just like, I can basically bark this opinion in a YouTube video and get some views on it. And it's I don't know, just I've always tried to encourage a little bit more productive forms of expressing your fandom, I suppose. Instead of just like, I'm drawing a line in the sand, motherfuckers, that kind of fandom is.
Yeah. Does he ever get to a point though?
I don't know. We'll see.
Had in common was not only were they more accurate versions of the Punisher, cold, calculated, methodical killers on a mission, and looked more like the Punisher, but they also weren't an emotional, psychotic, freaked out wreck like this version of Frank Castle. I couldn't.
Yes, they were. Like, and honestly, man, the fact that you've like this is where it's fundamentally a problem. This is where this guy probably fucking thinks cops are cool that fucking wear the skull, because the problem with the Punisher that Marvel created for themselves was they spent the 80s and the 90s cranking out Punisher comics and not really addressing what he was created to do, which was to be an indictment on the system. They made him just another flagship title that was doing cool shit. Basically, there was a comic, Punisher War, was it War Journal, I think, or Punisher Armory, something like that basically was just devoted to the weapons that he owns. that's and some of them are real legit guns that exist, and they're like, here's this one, here's this one. It's just that's all there was.
Didn't he
And,
go to space at one point?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, there's doing a few different. There was an iteration where he died and was reborn as like an angel that was killing demons with like a supernatural gun. And there was another
That's
time,
the goat puncher right there. Yeah.
and then another time he was Frankencastle, which is whenever he died, was just ripped apart by Wolverine's son Doc, and then was cobbled back together into Frankencastle. And he was like legitimately just like a bunch of pieces all sewn together, killing monsters and stuff.
Yeah.
And then there is Cosmic Ghost Rider, which is also.
I was going to say that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, Cosmic Ghost Rider is in a very far future. He becomes a Ghost Rider eventually, and then he becomes a Herald of Galactus. So he's mega OP, and also the Punisher. And at that point, he is very crazy. Like what the thing is with this guy, he's not. If there was a character, if there was a person that existed that was any remotely like Frank Castle, he would be absolutely out of his mind.
Yes,
and
he
that's
would.
why this depiction is so fucking good to me, because I don't want to, we've already seen him be cold, calculate. Like that's not, for one thing, that's not a fucking good thing to, I don't know. It's not something you should idolize. You know what I mean? Like somebody that just has no consideration for why, or was just like, bad guys must kill, because as this show, this Punisher special showed, the premise of it shows why it's not a good thing that he kills people like he does, even mobsters, because you kill some mobsters, there creates a power vacuum that creates, you know what I mean? Like there's consequences to that, and unless you can't predict those consequences, and it's just going to cause more families to be harmed, just like his was. So it doesn't make any sense to be that way.
And also giving him PTSD and all the other stuff that they did in this portrayal makes the Punisher into an actual character, at least in terms of like movies and TV shows. Yeah. He's a three-dimensional. He feels like a real person, right? Yep. And not like a robot walking through a movie killing bad guys, or a prankster like Thomas Jane was.
I really am I'm very, very interested. I'd love to ask this guy, what is it that you like about Blade Runner 2049? Because it's almost like I can easily see a argument that I could make connecting that to this, as in like the character of K, and what he's a real fleshed out human being. That's the point of the character, is that he's so much a real guy. Spoiler alert. Well, it's not, I guess not. It's revealed immediately that he's not a legit human. But like that's the compelling thing about it, is he's so much, just a dude in that movie.
Yeah.
And so what is it? I don't know.
I want to see what this guy likes about the Punisher, what he doesn't like about this Punisher, because I'm still not clear. Other than
his Pauly D blowout, and no, and he's like right now he's talking about it. He's emotional wreck. He's all emotional and stuff, man.
Yeah.
Tell if Netflix Punisher was a soap opera or what.
As long as I was at war, I never thought about
like
what
this
happened next.
Dog water take, right?
What I was gonna do when it was over.
How do you not?
And don't even get me started on Jigsaw, who looked like a male model with one little scar.
Kind of lame.
When we just had a comic accurate Jigsaw in Warzone, which everybody seems to completely forget. Ray Stevenson.
Okay. Did he say we just had that? Because that was 2008.
Right. Also, he isn't complaining.
Nobody saw it.
Yeah. I don't understand how this guy can dislike the Punisher we get in the MCU so much, and also like Blade Runner 2049.
Yep.
Because
the more he talks, the more, and then that poster just sitting there, just drawing my eye to it. I'm like, I don't get it. It almost feels like a fucking psyop designed to make me kind of crazy.
I mean, the rest of his art is all the Joker. Well, it's not all the Joker, but it's a lot of like crazy psycho edgelord type characters.
Look, there's a handful of characters that just like you're not supposed to idolize. That includes Frank Castle. That includes the Joker. That includes Rorschach. That includes Tyler Durden. That includes Walter White. Not supposed to be like, they're not They're not admirable characters that you should try to be like at all.
Look just like the Punisher. His Jigsaw looked just like Jigsaw. That movie had the violence of Punisher Netflix, but also comic appeal. But like I said, I'm not going to get too deep into that because I already made a video about why Ray is the GOAT, and I'll link it at the end of this. And you know what? I used to kind of like this version of the Punisher, but then I went back and rewatched all the Punisher movies, read some comics that I hadn't read in a while, and
Then I realized that I could get on video and probably get some clicks if I just would talk like an asshole about it.
Something you and I would never do.
No, we wouldn't do such thing. Yeah, I don't think there's much else to, go into this guy about. Like, look.
We're like 8 minutes into this thing.
Do what?
How far into this video are we? Oh, we're only 3 minutes.
Minutes into I don't know how.
And he hasn't. And maybe he's just like fishing for ad revenue. I don't know, trying to hit the 8-minute mark. But so far, he hasn't said anything other than.
Okay, let's go right here. Seems like he might say something here.
Got killed by the mob. I can't remember if they said that in the Dolph Lundgren version. And I know they did in the Thomas Jane version. And I know for a fact they did in the Ray Stevenson version. But in this one, we have a modernized version of the Punisher. No disrespect to veterans, but this is a modernized version of the Punisher. And the story was a lot different. And maybe they're basing it off of some newer comics.
In this one, from memory, I think it's just more complex. I mean, it's not as simplistic as the mob killed his family. It's like there's a conspiracy that actually, if you think about it, creates far more valid, quote unquote, valid targets for the Punisher to go after, because it's such an interconnected web of people doing shitty things, right? That he's, once he starts connecting all these dots, he's like, oh, I'm killing all these motherfuckers. And yeah, I don't know. It's not exactly the same, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Yeah. Let's talk about the Thomas Jane Punisher movie for a second, okay?
Okay.
The prankster. Okay.
The prankster.
He fucking, like I said, he does the fire hydrant thing. He also takes a guy, takes a guy hostage, kidnaps him or whatever, and he wants information out of him, and he hangs him upside down. And then he tells him, I'm gonna basically got a blowtorch. He shows him. He's like, I'm gonna start burning. You're gonna tell me what I want to know or whatever. And he's like, at first, it feels cold. That's what people say. That like when you first start melting the flesh, it feels cold. And so what he does is behind the guy's back, who's hanging there, upside down, he has a steak sitting in a fucking skillet on the fire right there, and he uses the torch to fucking light up that steak. And with the other hand, he's got a fucking popsicle that he's sticking to the guy's back. And the guy's like, because he told him it's going to be cold, right? Like when he burns you, it's going to be cold. And he thinks he's burning him, and he gives him the information he wants. And like, that is a cool, clever thing to do. That's far, obviously more ethical. But like for this guy who's all like, I don't want a bitch ass Punisher or whatever. That's that is a bitch ass move for the Punisher. It's better like in a real life circumstance. If you ever had to draw information from somebody, that would be the thing to do, rather than actually put a torch to them. But like the Punisher, if you're looking for the guy to be a fucking badass, that's a little bit weak sauce. That's a fucking
Yes, the Thomas Jane movie was a whole project in rehabilitating the Punisher to make him into a hero for the normie audience. That's what that movie was. Yeah, and I enjoyed it, but it was not the Punisher.
No, it was the prankster, and it was it just he I think the only people he straight up killed maybe was John Travolta, which was the boss. I might be mistaken about that, but I think that's the one guy that he just killed.
Well, that's the one guy he has to kill for sure. Right. Anyway, every true Marvel fan knows that the GOAT Punisher is the one that appeared in the What If issue. What if Wolverine became Lord of the Vampires, and the Punisher has to become the Sorcerer Supreme?
This is true right here. Yes, thank you, Sean. That's fucking very valid. The story makes sense because it involves military contractors and shit. Like that is definitely far more relevant these days than the mob. You know, everybody
I
knows
mean,
Rudy took
there
out
are
the
criminal
mob.
networks you could put in to substitute for the mob, but yeah, private contractors is a good choice.
Yeah.
I would like to see him do the Epstein class, but
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of the thing, is that like the contractor thing kind of allows them to do, you can rope in the government, you can rope in the military, you can rope in, you know, different elements that, you know, it's pretty interesting that way. I will say I do agree with them about the jigsaw thing. That was fucking lame. At the end of the season, the first season, I think, Punisher, he fucking takes that dude's face and smashes it into some fucking broken glass and just like rubs his face in the glass. It's pretty rough. And then you see him in the next season and he's just got like a scar. It's like, oh, well, they actually did a really good job of, you know, stitching him up. It's like, that's kind of lame too. But you know,
but again, that it's fine to like have your aesthetic preferences.
Sure.
But the real test of a good adaptation is how well they captured the characters in a new setting. Because an adaptation always has to be a new setting. And did they stay true to the spirit of the character? And everyone has a different idea of what the spirit of the character is, obviously. But if most fans think that the character they got in the adaptation feels like the character they like from the source material, then we're going to be happy. At least I hope we would be happy.
This is the best version. This is the goat right here.
His family was murdered in cold blood. He turned justice into punishment. He makes bad plays on words. He is the Punisher.
You're out of hand. Crime is no way to get ahead. Oh, have you had enough? What? Looks like you're ready for morgue.
You're ready for morgue. On actual context, the Punisher's a murderer. Look at that fucking guy. Jesus Christ. What a loser.
You're right, though. The Punisher is a murderer.
Yeah.
And he's an anti-hero in some sense. And he's definitely the protagonist of his own story, obviously. The people he goes after in his stories are far worse than him if we're grading on a curve. But he is a criminal and a murderer.
Straight up, dog. Straight up. Where's part one of my fucking Punisher videos at? Is it not? The hell? Oh yeah, there's the okay. Anybody that's interested, here is the abridged, truncated version of the two-parter that originally was, that I went back and edited for, you know, to be brief. It's only 33 minutes. I edited out all the extra stuff, like the fun asides, like that Punisher clip, and then, you know, so one of the things I did in the original version was, because I ended up talking about cops quite a bit, and statistics about cops. I didn't realize that when I started making the video, I was going to go into some of this stuff and that it was going to be so heavy. So for example, when I cover the thing, you know, basically whenever I covered some of the violent crimes that cops have done, identifying with the Punisher, and then also things like how many pets they kill. Cops, they kill a lot of pets every year.
They do.
So what I did was I had various people, you know, in the audience and other friends, YouTubers, give me pictures of their pets so that I could do, you know, so I had like, yes, I had the Bad Boys song, right? I'll play that whenever we get out of here. I'll play that on the exit, but I have that Bad Boys song that a friend did for me. It's like a synthwave version of Bad Boys, Bad Boys, Bad Boys. But then he also, for the pet sequences, whenever I would just show people's pets, and he made a good boys. And I fucking forgot about that till right now. I need to find that and download that because it's fucking funny. But yeah. Yeah, we're gonna get out of here, I think, and go eat some food and whatnot.
All right.
Thanks, Bob, for hanging out and shooting the shit.
Sure thing. Everyone, be sure to subscribe to this channel, whatever channel you're watching. Go subscribe to my channel, Bob of the Old Ways, and subscribe to my new side channel. Allegedly, mine might be another guy named Armchair Black Belt.
Ooh. Wait, where the hell is my Bad Boys thing at? Do I need to change my? Is it here?
We can keep yapping until you find it.
Okay. I mean, yeah. Okay. I just had to switch to the Shieldcast profile. That's where it's at. Cool. Oh, yep. See, now we're on Nerdrotic's old set. But yeah, guys, please subscribe, and then to me, to Armchair Black Belt, to Bob of the Old Ways, to the Modern Audience. That's what never mind. The QR code's no longer up there, but subscribe. We need some subs and whatnot. Take care of yourselves and one another, and don't be the Punisher. Okay, if we take anything from today, don't be the Punisher. Don't be that guy that made that other video about the boys, and maybe don't be that guy that made the video about Punisher there, including the one that I just showed. That guy with the Captain America helmet. That was weird shit. Don't do that. But be like Bob. Bob's a good role model.
I am.
I was talking about the other one. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, the other one is a good role model too. We are both cooler than you'll ever.
Here's that. Please go.
So, if the college wants to re-educate me, they're more than welcome to try. But if they think they're going to do it in secret, they've got another thing coming.